maybe saying this a bit prematurely, but maybe for the first day since we've been out at anchor, it's going how it's meant to go. Because I can see over there some fairly big waves hitting the rocks, which would suggest the east wind is blowing now and we're getting none of it. So 1 day out of 8 is not too bad.
Okay, so we had a few fairly bad days. You know, we had the storm, the weather was pretty bad, and I mentioned that's not the worst of it. So the day after the storm, so from the last episode, the weather didn't really die down. We ended up actually with stronger winds coming from the south. However, the boat held. It wasn't comfortable, and yeah, every night we had this southern sideways swell that we was in, and we were just trying to keep busy. So that was that, and recorded a little bit, tried not to lose my mind a little bit, and was just waiting for some better weather to come. I will say that I fixed the rigging that was broken on the, or tried to fix the, well, started to fix the rigging that was broken on the boat. Then the solar arch, which we know weren't ideal anyway, but it lasted like a year before this. That went, so that, you know, the wind was obviously quite strong, and there was actually a recorded gust just off of Toulon, which is not that far away, at 60 knots. So yeah, a gust, but still a 60 knot gust, you know, that's pretty strong wind for here. Well, it's very strong wind for here. And yeah, I could go through the various bits of footage now and show you, you know, little random parts from the days of me filming little parts, but I wasn't really filming anything useful. Most of the footage, it's, you know, you can't hear anything because of the wind anyway. And we just carried on after the storm, you know, tidied the boat up again after that, tried to move forwards. And then 12 days into it, I went into the town, connected to the Wi-Fi, and tried to make some contact with some people, because, you know, 12 days of not seeing anyone and not really talking to anyone. I wondered if they had any ideas or anything, and I was really low on food and stuff. You know, at that point the rice had kind of run out and stuff, and yeah, I needed a bit of a plan. So went into town, got in contact with some of the people that I'd known a little bit in the summer where I was, and it turns out they were actually sending a kayak with some food on. They were gonna get in a kayak from the port I used to be in and try kayak over with some bits of food and stuff. And one of them took me to the shop and bought me a bottle of wine, some bits of some vegetables, bits of food for a few days, and told me that the girl I'd given my old boat to had actually got me a SIM card, but had been trying to get in contact and asking if anyone had seen me or whatever. And there'll be more of that coming up about me leaving the port. That will be the next episode. But yeah, she had a SIM card if I could get over to La Ciotat, which would, you know, solve, or I thought it would solve, my internet at the boat problems. So the next day, checked the weather. We had a really, really bad day the day before, and then the day after it was meant to die down. And yeah, here it is that morning, and it had died down, so we set off over to La Ciotat, which is actually quite far to walk, so we was trying to hitchhike.
On a mission to get a SIM card, I need to go to La Ciotat, and I didn't have 120 for the bus. I do have 120 in PayPal, but PayPal decided I needed to have a SMS verification, and if I'd have got the train, I have to walk 50 minutes this side, wait for the train, and then 50 minutes when I get off the train. And it's a 2 hour 39 minute walk, which I'm already gaining chicken legs and could do without that. But what most people would do in this situation is probably hitchhike, but the problem with looking like this is who's going to pick me up? But what do? You just put a thumb out. The last time I hitchhiked was in Belize about God knows how long ago. Do we just walk with a thumb out and hope somebody takes pity and doesn't think I'm gonna kill them? I don't know. But the time is Time is 12. Let's see if somebody will pick me up before I arrive in the Ceuta. Maybe I'll get killed. 11:50 was the time. I think I'm doing it wrong. I think you're supposed to stand still with your thumb out, but I'm just walking down the road with my thumb out, and hopefully that works, because if I just stand still and no one picks me up, at least this way I'm making some progress in the direction I'm supposed to be going. How did life get to this? This is why I have a boat, so I don't have to do this. There's a reason I'm doing it, but I'll explain later, because the road is noisy. Alright, so we got part of a lift quite quickly. The issue is, we've been dropped off at the motorway. Maybe we was always walking towards the motorway, but it said on Google I could walk this way, but Google says a lot of things a lot of the time it's not true. But half a success. Let's see if we can get the other half. That hill was big too. I'm glad somebody picked me up. My faith in some of humanity is restored recently. There's some kind people about it. That was actually pretty easy, so I thought I was going to be waiting for ages. Maybe I don't look as menacing as I think, which is good news. But yeah, like the second one, I was like, I don't think I was walking for a minute until the second one stopped, and that would have taken more than 2 hours and a half for sure. It's well far, but yeah, I got out of the car. He shook my hand like I'd done him a favour. Yeah, no, that's nice. Strange, innit? Wouldn't normally do that, because yeah, it's not like I'm against paying for the bus, but yeah, now we've got to face the fact I'm in La Ceuta and we don't have great memories from here, do we? And it's where I crashed the boat. Well, I did crash the boat. It's a story for another day. It's really nice, if you can hear me over the wind, that she's back in Port La Ceuta, where she did the last trip from. Made it here. I think she got towed. I'm not 100% sure, but it does make me happy that it's a home for someone and it's not gone to the boat graveyard. So that's cool.
We're going to have to speak quietly because we're in a restaurant, so be elegant. But courtesy of Mano, again.
Look at him. Wow.
Some people are going to watch that and think, look, like you're sat in a restaurant, drinking a beer, eating a steak, while your boat's out at anchor. Now, firstly, I left it while it was calm, and people do that. Like, it's just because it's now ended up on the beach. You know, this happening is a whole month, or well, 3 weeks maybe, before the boat ended up on the beach. So the boat's not ended up on the beach because I went and had a steak and a beer. And something that I will say, because I've had to cut the footage from what I was explaining in the restaurant because the audio was too loud, is I'd been sat on the boat, and it's going to sound silly, it might even sound like I'm making it up, but thinking there will be a day, I don't know when, it might be in a month, it might be in a year, I don't know, but I'm sat on the boat eating rice and beans. And the reason it's okay to say now is because that's now not my current situation. and I don't want to come on here as much as some people might think it's the case and be like, I ain't got any food, I'm starving, because I wasn't starving. But at the time I remember thinking, you know, this isn't forever, like, we'll get out of this and there'll be a day and I'm going to make a point of it, and we're going to eat some nice steak, peppercorn sauce, some chips, a nice cold beer. I didn't know it was going to come around, you know, within the next sort of 12 days. So am I in the wrong for going and, you know, getting out of a bad situation I was in for 12 days, even if it was for a day or a few days? From there, I spent a few days in La Ciotat on my old boat, and it was a Mistral. So I did get quite a lot of, leave the boat in a Mistral. I wasn't too concerned about leaving the boat in a Mistral, because the Mistral is blowing from the land, it's not really creating any swell, and because it's not creating any swell, the boat had held in the amount way more than the advertised Mistral was going to be, and I also needed a way to get back to the boat too. So that's not why the boat ended up on the beach, because I left it and was in La Ciotat for a few days. What that did do was create me a problem, because I left my annex for a few days.
So my second attempt at hitchhiking is not going as well as the first one. So now trying to get back from La Ciotat to go check on the boat. The problem is, for some reason, only in the summer high season do they have buses going from Cassis to La Ciotat. It's silly because it's the next town. What's even more silly is yesterday I walked 4 kilometers to a bus stop. Get my my lift from the other day just went past me. When I was hitchhiking the other way the other day, the guy's just gone past. Probably thinking this guy. Well, that's cool, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. The problem is they don't have buses, and I walked to go to get this bus from where it said get there. The bus comes. It's going to Cassis, but it's like a college bus. It only had like 4 people on, so I weren't allowed on it. And by the time you've walked all the way to the train station, or you can then mess around getting buses to train stations to take trains, but then just to get the short next town, you've ended up spending like €8. Maybe it's only me that makes €8 sound like it's a lot, but it still ends up taking you. If the walk is 2 hours and 40 minutes, by the time you've messed around with public transport anyway, it's still taking you an hour and 40, so, you know, spend the extra hour and a bit and walk. But then I have to keep explaining to people that I do eat, I just walk too much. It's a struggle trying to keep weight on when you end up going on 11-kilometer treks. Yeah, as if the guy went past. I am nervous as hell. So I've done the whole walk, so I think it's 12 kilometers, but it's the longest I've ever left my boat at anchor, and I left it at anchor in a Mistral, and all I've heard for the last few days is, Jay, you don't have enough chain out, you can't leave the boat there, you need to move the boat, it's a Mistral. And it's this point when I arrive back here, like, so the boat survived. It looks a little all over the place, and for some reason there's a southwest swell, even though the Mistral's coming from the northwest. But my annex is gone. So why people steal something they're going to use what, probably 4 times a year to take to the beach? It's not even worth stealing. It leaks, it's got paint on it, it's mostly crap. And it's just annoying. My boat is literally all over the place. Right, what we're gonna do, because as you can see, the boat's all the way out there. The annex was here on the beach, and yeah, there's nothing to lock it up to. Like, I'm gonna have to just swim on because I can't imagine any other way I'm gonna be able to get back to the boat. But I don't know how I'm not gonna get my phone wet. The idea was to come take my stuff off the boat. I need to go to Marseille. For God's sake.
Alright, take 5, because I've recorded this 5 times. Do I deserve... Is it my own fault that I left the tender on the beach? Yeah, there's always some risk if you're going to leave it on the beach. You know, we might get some comments saying we should have had it locked up. There was nowhere to lock it up, and it was too far from where it was to row it into a port. So that's the only place I could have put it. I didn't intend on leaving it, you know, overnight, but I did, and yeah, I don't know. If you left your house unlocked, do you deserve it to get robbed? Like, it's a world we live in, it's always going to be a risk. What I would say is the place, I mean, you normally judge on where you are, and that isn't somewhere you'd associate with people stealing stuff. But it happened, so yeah. From there, I took... It weren't actually this that I took, but after walking all the way back from La Ciotat, which is 2.5 hours, I then got back and couldn't get back on the boat, so I then had to walk 40 minutes to the port I used to be in to see if I could find something that I could use. I don't have any footage of it, but I did find a little... somewhere in the middle of a kayak / paddle that I could take from there. If you're watching from there, I was gonna bring it back. Like, somebody told me I could use it, so we'll get on to what happened to it. But yeah, then something really stupid to be doing. Mistral blowing, so although I weren't really worried about the boat moving in a mistral, to go kayak on something with one kayak, no life jacket, and all of your stuff in a not really waterproof bag, that's scary. Like, every time the wind blew, especially when it gusted, and it would hit the kayak on the side, and I'm having to try get one side to steer, get it back to the boat. And what this also meant was I got on there on the night not able to go get all of the things I was going to get, because the plan was to go back, get some stuff off, and I actually needed to go to Marseille and then come back. I would have probably come back the following day, but it wasn't my plan to end up then stuck on the boat. But it was such an ordeal to get back onto it that by the time I got back onto it, it's dark, it's windy, and I got inside and there was just a crisis going on inside the boat.
It's really not a good day. Firstly, I've just had to roll up onto this beach with one remaining flipper because the other one has decided it wanted to snap and has come off that foot. And the kayak, I don't know, it's probably halfway to Africa because it decided to hit a wave, flip over. It was tied to me, but then it decided to tie around me, and I tried to cut it, grab the cord, and it's gone. I have never been as relieved in my life to wash up on a beach